Well, hello there, and welcome back to another Pokemon Master video. Today we are doing more Pasio Tower stuff. Indeed, you thought I was gonna be done. I thought I was gonna be done, but some recent developments have been made, and so that's why I'm trying to push specifically Fire Tower. This is going to be the first tower I push over 20. I actually haven't pushed over 20 in any of the towers yet. And not only am I going to be pushing past 20, but I'm also going to be trying to aim for 30. This video, I'm only going to do 20 to 29 because of some mistakes, which I'll mention later. I was planning on doing all 30 floors for this video, but again, some mistakes, so I'm not, can't really do that. But yeah, we're just going to start off here. For 21, the condition is no special. And the thing about past 20 is the difficulty spike I noticed from 20 to 21 is super noticeable. I think that it's just significantly more difficult going up from 20 to 21. That being said though, from 21 to 29, I noticed that the difficulty jump isn't that big. Like, I noticed that, again, it from 21 to 29 is not that bad difficulty jump wise, but it's still quite difficult. Regardless here, this first run, the reason why I felt like this one was very difficult, actually 421 is in my opinion the most difficult out of all the ones that I've played. I mean, some of them got really close, but this one specifically difficult for me. As you notice right there, two of my characters are actually weak against water, and so I kept playing this and I kept dying super early, super easily, just because my main tank that I'm using, which is Kabu, Gym Scout Kabu, and Neo Champion Leaf, they are both weak to water, and so I just get wrecked by Sparkling Aria as well as the Sync move. But then, as you notice here, I actually put some lucky skills. This is the first time I've actually used lucky skills, in which I'm getting Water Guard. Water Guard makes it so that I take less damage from water moves, which is perfect for my tanks, as long as I don't get crit. Usually I like using Vigilance. I would normally use Vigilance on Kabu, and I would normally use, I think, Weather Warrior 3 on Neo Champion Leaf. But in this run, I specifically had to use Water Guard on both of them so that they don't die. And as long as they don't die, Kabu has enough healing, and then of course my Leaf has potions as well, and I can heal up pretty well. Another thing about this run is that I can't use special attacks. You notice that my strongest fire attacker right now is going to be Anniversary N. Anniversary N is super strong, but because he is special, I have to use physical attacker, and so my best physical attacker, I thought it was Gloria, Alt Gloria, in which she wears her gym uniform. But actually I noticed that my Hilda, my Signature Suit Hilda is super strong for this, and so you'll see me using Hilda here for all my physical runs. So she's super powerful. And the thing about this particular run that I find really impressive, hopefully I can complete floor 30 with my current setup, but the thing that I find particularly impressive is that none of my characters are like 5 out of 5 copies, and I'm not using any arc suits. So like, you'll see, like with that run, I was using 3 out of 5 Hilda, 3 out of 5 Leaf. You know, I do have Leaf level 200, so I do plan on using her the entire run. And so I thought, you know, if I want to make Plaques of Perfections, if I want to farm Plaques of Perfections, I need to spend Plaques of Perfections. And so I went ahead and upgraded my Leaf here to level 200. My Hilda is gonna stay at level 180, and her EX roll isn't gonna be unlocked the entire run. So this is going to be floor 22. Again, this is no physical damage, so I get to use N here. My Leaf Sync move is going to do damage, but her normal move isn't going to do damage. But honestly, most of the damage comes from N. He is super powerful because of his sync nuke potential. Like people call it sync nuke, but basically his sync move does a lot of damage. Not only that, but I unlocked his EX roll here, and his EX roll means that he's able to not only do a ton of damage on the the main target, but also the other Pokemon. So unlocking N's EX roll is essential for clearing all these floors because he does a ton of damage. And later on, I'll upgrade him to level 200. Right now, I don't think I have him level 200, but later on, I will upgrade him to level 200. And here we are introduced to the MVP, which is how? I'm gonna call him Hugh. But Hugh, Academy Hugh, he is the reason why I wanted to make this video today, and I want to clear 30 today, was because Hugh is a limited character, and so I wanted to kind of showcase him and talk about him before he gets rotated out. Unfortunately, I'm kind of late to the party because a lot of people have been using Academy Hugh to clear Fire Tower, but I kind of want to get my experience in and kind of show you how Hugh is just incredible. I think the main thing about Hugh is that he is a reliable flincher. If you unlock his staggering for Brick Break, he flinches 50% of the times, and that can be very strong because the more you flinch, the more time you have to attack, do damage, build up sync move bonus, and all that stuff. He's super strong in that sense. He also casts Sunny Day, which is super strong, and he can increase your sync move damage. From using Brick Break, you get like sync move damage up next effect. He can also increase everyone's damage when it's Sunny Day. On top of that, he also has mini potions, which is a great way to heal your party. And I will talk more about Hugh in my 30 floor clear. Hopefully I can post that tomorrow or the next day. Unfortunately, I mismanaged my stamina, so I can't really build another Hugh. But the reason why I mentioned building certain Hughs is because you have to build him in certain ways. Essentially, when I mean build him in certain ways, I mean build him as like a physical tank or a special tank. Because if you build him, you can only do one or the other unless you get really lucky and you get like a bunch of orbs. But you can only build Hugh one way or the other, and so you kind of have to like switch the Hugh builds as you progress to the tower. Right now, my current Hugh build that you're seeing in this fight is just a general Hugh build. I actually got a bunch of passives unlocked on him, so that's why you notice the fighting zone. But with that battle, you notice that it was pretty simple. The next battle is Fire Tower Floor 23, which is unaffected opponents. I guess right now I'm kind of just showing my sync grid. So you can see here's the sync grid of Hugh. Next time I make one of these videos, I'm hopefully going to try to make it a little bit better where I show my sync grids for each fight. I don't really like how I record this video, but I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do these types of videos for Pasio Tower. But he was super strong. Again, I'll talk more about him in the other video. But he's just super strong. And as you notice, when I'm using Hugh, Hugh is actually not going to be my tank. This is very strange because normally for my tank, I normally use, it's a support character. But for this, because Hugh is an academy unit, he doesn't really have a lot of defense and HP. And so we're letting Neo Champion Leaf tank just because she is a little bit bulkier than our Hugh. Right. We also want our Hugh to survive because the longer he survives, the more he can extend our Sunny Day and the more he can flinch, which is super strong. This battle, if I remember, battle 23 was quite easy. Another thing to mention here, especially this battle, is that Moltres, Neo Champion Leaf, even at 3 out of 5 copies, she is incredibly strong. I am constantly switching her sync grid around. As you notice, this battle, I have unlocked the sync grid in which she can confuse the enemies. Because during these battles, unaffected opponents cannot be damaged, so you want to inflict some status changes and status conditions. Confusion is a great status change that you can inflict. It's not permanent, so you do need to kind of keep on activating your Leer so that you can confuse your opponent. Burn obviously is the best status condition because it's permanent and they can't remove it, as opposed to Trap, Flinch, and Confusion, which are status changes that they can that the enemy can remove. But most is super good. In some fights where my Neo champion Leaf isn't doing a lot of damage, I'll switch her sync grid around so that she has potions, like potion move point refresh. That can be super strong to tank. She also has an endurance sync grid tile, so if I'm not using Academy Hugh, I can unlock her endurance sync grid so that she can take an extra hit. And you'll notice one of these battles that literally her being able to tank an extra hit wins me the fight, and so that's super strong too. And Leaf also does pretty good amount of damage, not the same amount of damage as N, but she can do really good damage, and so unlocking the sync grid tiles that make her do extra damage is super important as well. So Leaf just has a super strong sync grid, and I'm constantly changing it throughout these floors. Again, I wish I would have planned and made this video better, because if I did, I would have tried to make sure I show all the sync grids for every battle that I use with Leaf, because I think I went through like 5 or 6 different sync grid iterations with Leaf, because she's super strong. And only had 2 sync grid, I guess, setups. Basically, I just want to maximize his sync move damage, but he also has a hostile environment tile, which I did use in a later fight, because again, burn is super important because it's permanent. It also lowers their attack and also inflicts chip damage too. So burn is actually super valuable. And so if I wanted consistent burn, I would unlock his hostile environment sync grid tile as opposed to like some extra sync move damage. So that's just a trade-off. So this fight's pretty easy. Again, the fights with Hugh end up being pretty easy because he's just super strong. Fire 424, again, I am unable to use special. Oh yeah, I guess here I'm just showing kind of the sync grid. I try to show him at the end of each battle. But 24, it's no special, and so I have to use a physical, so we're running Hilda back again. And like I mentioned, I wanted to do this run as cheap as possible, and so I didn't unlock Hilda's EX roll. Even if I did, unlocking Hilda's EX roll would have made a big difference, just because her EX roll is support, which means that if I attack, I get an extra support, or I get an extra sync move buff. And so it would have definitely mattered. I would have definitely been doing more damage, but I wanted to see if I could do it without unlocking Hilda's EX roll. And I also wanted to do it without unlocking Hilda's like Super Awaken, or she does actually get more sync grid tiles as from 4 copies to 5 copies. She gets more sync grid tiles too. But I want to see if I can complete the run without needing to upgrade my Hilda that much. And that's something I'm proud of this run. I think Fire Tower is generally easy, especially if you have a lot of the arc suits. I think arc suit Silver, arc suit Leon, they're both fire. For example, if you have Super Awaken Hilda, Signa suit Hilda, if you had Super Awaken, I guess Signa suit Morty, if you have Super Awaken Signa suit Red, right, there's a ton of good fire units that if you have fully upgraded, this run for the Fire Tower is quite easy in my opinion. But again, I'm gonna try to complete this run with only using 3 out of 5 copies at most. And I was even using Gym Scout Kabu, which turned out to be super strong. I don't think there's anything special about this fight. If I recall, this fight wasn't that difficult. Despite using Hilda, this fight was significantly easier than the other fight, where I had to use water guard on my Pokemon so that they don't die to the water moves. Alright, I guess, am I done really talking about... There is one more thing I want to mention, but I think I have to mention after this fight. But my general script, by the way, it depends which characters I'm using, because throughout this run I'm using 5 different characters, right? I'm using Hugh, I'm using Kabu, I'm using Hilda, I'm using Leaf, and I'm using N. So it depends which characters I'm using, but generally speaking, my script is trying, if I'm using Hugh, is trying to flinch as much as possible. So of course attack with the other 2 characters and then use Brick Break at the end. And so I can try to flinch the opponent and get a bunch of attacks in. And also flinching is super strong too, because it makes it so that I take less damage, because I'm constantly flinching them, so I'm constantly, dodging attacks and taking less damage. And so I'll end up syncing with Hugh, Academy Hugh first. I think for this I do have his EX roll unlocked. The EX roll for Hugh being unlocked is super strong, so I can cast Sunny Day. The problem with these fights is that they take a long time and you don't have a lot of chances to cast Sunny Day. Pig Knight casts Sunny Day twice, when he uses his first Brick Break and when he uses his first Sync move. You notice Leaf also casts Sunny Day twice as well, when she uses her Sync move, if you have that Sync Grid tile unlocked, and when she uses her Buddy move, her Fire Buddy move, the Flare Blitz, for the first time in the fight. So basically what you want to do, or what I try to do, is I try to space out the Sunny Days so that, I use Hugh's attack and then I use his Sync move. And then I actually sync. Sometimes I sync with the attacker first before I sync with Leaf. Even though Leaf has the EX roll support unlocked, which means that if you sync with her you get an extra Sync move buff, I actually don't sync with her immediately. I actually have to delay her Sync move to conserve my Sunny Day. And then I would sync with, my attacker. And then after that, I would go ahead and sync with Leaf so that it can cast that Sunny Day. And then when her Sunny Day is about to run out, then I go ahead and use her Flare Blitz, which is the script for the 30th fight. Again, I'll mention that later. And again, I'm just showing kind of the sync grid that I use for this fight. Something that I did too was I wanted to upgrade gear. I guess I didn't show it here. Oh, no, I didn't show it. Oh, I do show it. So right now you notice I do have a new gear to use. And as you notice here, wait for it. I'm looking for it. Boom. Fire gear. If opponents confused, if they're confused and if they have a stats condition, it boosts my Sync move. So this is something I need to try to work on, is making better gear so that I can do more damage for these Pasio Tower runs. This gear specifically is for N. I use two what do you call it? Pins. I use 2 pins, which are like really rare. You only get 1 or 2 every month. To lock fire as the third, I guess, skill. And then I lock when the opponent has a stats condition, you do 4% extra Sync move damage for the 3rd slot as well. So this gear is specifically for N to do a bunch of Sync move damage, because I thought that would have been important to have. I think this fight is no physical, and so here I go ahead and use N again, and you notice that my Pig Knight does 0 damage because no physical, right? Another thing to mention is that, because I mentioned earlier that because I want to conserve the Sunny Days that I can cast, you might think that it would be better to attack with new Champion Leaf so that I can do the damage with her Flare Blitz. But what I want to do instead is actually save it again. I'm going to save it for after her Sync move Sunny Day runs out. When her Sync move Sunny Day runs out, then I can go ahead and use I can use the Flare Blitz so I can cast Sun. Because it's more important to have the Sun up when you use end sync move as opposed to doing the damage with Leaf. So that's what I learned. Again, I learned all of this from a replay from the 30th floor of Fire Tower. Which again, I know I'm talking a lot about it, like I've made the strategy up myself, but no, the strategy with this team, specifically with Neo Champion Leaf, with N, and with Hugh and Pig Knight, is all from the video that a replay that I watched. And again, I'll talk about that replay because I think that replay is super impressive, and it's something I'm trying to mimic in my run. So I'll talk more about it when I do my 30th floor clear. But again, I need to change my Hugh sync grid because I was an idiot and I didn't realize what I was doing. So yeah, so this team is super strong, and this is the team I'm gonna be running on floor 30 with this exact same setup. As you see here, I just used my first Flare Blitz this battle just to cast Sunny Day, even though I could have used it earlier. Granted, they are resistant. This fight, they are resistant to physical moves, so it wouldn't have done damage in the first place anyways. But you notice that I delayed it. And again, that's something I learned from that 30th floor clear video. Is there anything that I need to talk about? I think, yeah. I think I've covered a pretty good amount here. I guess we can start kind of going play by play here, if I remember how I did these fights. Actually, what's funny is that after clearing floor 25, which is the floor that I just cleared, I went directly to floor 26. As you notice, there's going to be no cut in the video. Like, I've done a lot of cuts so far, but this literally no cut. I went straight from 25 to 26. And this one was super easy. So as you notice here, I'm just going to go ahead and leer with Leaf and buff with N. So with this, I make sure that I debuff the opponent before I can attack. I use Brick Break, which casts the Sunny Day and the Fighting Zone, which doesn't really matter. And I wasn't able to flinch. So right after, I use Flame Charge with my Pig Knight. This would actually give the enemy an additional fire type rebuff. I guess rebuff, debuff. And so that's super strong too. I'm doing extra fire damage. The Brick Break doesn't matter here because they weren't using an attack that they can be flint from. So we go ahead and do our first sync move with Hugh and Pig Knight. Again, Sunny Day gets cast again because of my EX roll. And we're just attacking. I actually kind of misplayed here because I tried to sync move Cheese, but I couldn't get it in time. So my Brick Break is actually first before my other two moves. And also I didn't target the Muck, which I should have. Here, I burned the Muck, which is nice. I'm going to leer, and then I'm going to save my Brick Break on the Muck. Hopefully I can flinch it. It is using special attack all, so it doesn't really matter here if I get a flinch or not. I can use my second stick move now. And do I do it with N or do I do it with Leaf? Okay, I should have done it with N because I want to conserve my Sunny Days. But I probably felt confident in clearing this quickly, and so I went ahead and synced with Leaf. After they use their sync move, it is important that I use my mini potion all and potion on my Moltres just to keep them all healed up. I kind of forgot here, so I instead used Brick Break, which probably wasn't good. I probably needed to use the mini potion. So again, even though I'm misplaying it, it doesn't really matter because this team is just so strong to begin with. Now I can finally use my third sync move with N. And then I Brick Break. I decided to use Fiery Flare Blitz earlier here. I should kind of wait like a turn or two before I do that. Probably should use potions as well. So I go ahead and use a potion now. Brick Break. Again, try to use another one on the Wheezing. I'm not sure if I was able to switch the target to the Wheezing. I did switch the target to the Wheezing, yeah. So what you want to do is you want to switch the target before the Brick Break you even press the Brick Break button. so that you can try to flinch the other target. So I did pretty good here. And yeah, at this point the sync move is just going to clear as long as my Reshiram doesn't die. But my Reshiram does have endurance from Pignite. Pignite giving endurance to your entire team is super strong because that frees up some sync grid energy for Leaf, and it makes it so that your N, which is, you know, your damage dealer, survives a normal move, right? So yeah, this fight was super easy. Again, I did this literally right after floor 25. Now the next floor is very difficult because no special attacks. So this one, as you know, that's the cut in the video. This one we're going back to Hilda, but we're still using our Hugh and Pignite. Again, his sync grid isn't perfect, but it's quite good for this. He doesn't have mini potion like MP refresh, and I can't raise my defense, which I'll get to in, I think, the next fight or the next fight. On the final fight of this video, I'll talk about the buffing with Hugh and Pignite. But as you see here, I was able to flinch, so I got a few extra moves in. The reason why I'm using Searing Shot this fight, even though the opponent can't be damaged by special attack, is so I'm trying to burn the opponent. The reason why I'm trying to burn the opponent is because this fight is it's a lot easier if the enemy is burned. I forgot exactly why I wanted to burn the enemy. I think it's so that they do less damage. There's a reason why I wanted to burn them, I think, but I forgot. But yeah, that's why you saw me use a Searing Shot at the beginning of the fight, even though it did no damage. What's annoying is that they build resistance, so right there you just saw it, that now the enemy can't be burned. So that's why I wanted to use Searing Shot at the beginning of the fight to burn them. So now I can't really burn them. But yeah, another thing that's difficult about using, I guess, Neo Champion Leaf is that you kind of have to time her correctly. Like, you want to use your Leers aggressively, but you also want to use Potion so that you heal her up. And you also, if you're going to do damage with her, you want to use her attack to buff her stats. As you see, this fight, I didn't use Glory of the Flame, and so my sync move, my sync move does no damage anyways. But you know what I mean, right? Like, if it would have done damage, then I want to find a time to use it before so I can get the damage in. But as you see, this fight, like, I'm doing a pretty good job flinching the enemy. And yeah, it's pretty standard stuff. So again, just keep on laying on the Leer. V-create. Again, this is, I think, yeah, this is the last fight that I need to use Hilda. And so I think this is pretty impressive that I'm using a 3 out of 5 Hilda here for this fight. Again, after they use their sync move, they usually use or sometimes they use a buff move. So it's a great time to use your potion and mini potion. I think the next fight, or fight 29, right after they use a sync move, they actually use a damage move. And so at that point, you want to make sure you have all your healing inputted before, or yeah, all your moves inputted before they use their move there. I don't know if I'm explaining things well, but I got my flinch in. Unfortunately, oh, did I switch to Weavile on time actually? Yeah, sometimes I switch to Weavile on time and it's super impressive. I guess I use mini potion regardless, so kind of a waste of a mini potion. And at this point I'm using Dire Hit, even though I really should be using Brick. I don't know. As you see here with my Victini, I'm actually trying to do damage on the side Pokemon, Weavile and Beartic. Again, I think I mentioned this, but this fight took me a while to be able to do. This was a very, very difficult fight. And so I have to damage the side Pokemon just enough so that, like, if I defeat the middle Pokemon, then Weavile just use Blizzard, and Blizzard just obliterates everything. And so I want to make sure that I time everything well so that I defeat all the Pokemon in a timely manner. I don't want to just focus on just a Titan in the middle. My sun is starting to run out, so this fight is gonna be a little bit rough, but I am nearing my second sync move here. And yes, the sunny day has worn out. And then here I use my sync move, and again, Weavile has Blizzard. So I really want to target that Weavile. Because of the Beartic having Giga Impact, it will take like 6 Giga Impacts to fully knock out my team, while that Weavile only needs 2 Blizzard to knock out my team. So it's super important to kind of hard target that Weavile there. That Weavile unfortunately did get a Blizzard in, and so it'll knock all my Pokemon to 1 HP. But again, that Beartic is going to require like 3 Giga Impacts to knock out that Victini. And so in this time, I can go ahead and just do as much damage as I can. It's very important that this Brick Break flinches, and would you know it, it does. If that Brick Break did not flinch, I don't think I would have been able to defeat this Beartic. But because of that flinch, I was able to get to another sync move, and everything is perfect. So yeah, this fight is definitely a showcase of flinching. Like if I didn't flinch the Beartic right there, I would have lost. Confusion triggers. Very rarely does the confusion actually trigger. Like that's not something that you should rely on. And there we go. I was able to clear 427 with 3 out of 5 Signa Suit Hilda, and she didn't even have her EX roll unlocked. So there we go. I saved the EX roll, or yeah, as you see there. I think I even show it in the video. I also had Weathering Warrior on her so that she does extra damage, and I also changed Leaf Sync Grid apparently. I probably made it so that, yeah, she had Hostile Environment, so that burn is super important. 28 is a very, very impressive run in my opinion, because again, we're using Gym Scout Kabu 2 out of 5 copies. This fight was very, very difficult as well. No physical, which means that my Leaf just doesn't do much damage. And as you notice here, chip damage is super important. And so I am fire spinning, I am burning, like all the damage in this fight matters a lot. You notice with N, I only use Truth Will Prevail once, because I can go ahead and go forward youth again here, which will increase my special attack. You notice here that I am being super conservative with my Kabu. Like I was trapped so that the trap triggers. I trapped the Cricketune so that the trap triggered. I use my move to buff because that Vespertine is already trapped. And then here I'm using Fire Spin again on the Wormadam. So again, I'm like min-maxing the trap damage here, like super carefully. Again, every bit of damage matters in this fight, and so I'll go ahead and buff with Leaf so that her sync move actually does damage. And here, I can go ahead and sync with Leaf here, because I need to activate the Sunny Day. I go ahead and quick cure from that Infestation. If they use Infestation twice, because I think Cricketune and Wormadam can both use Infestation, I need to reset the run, because my Kabu will die if they get infested twice. I get the burn off on the Vesper Queen, extremely important, because again, that burn is going to do a lot of chip damage. It also weakens their sync move, so I survived the sync move there, which is nice. Keep on leering. I burned the Wormadam, which is cool as well. Here I use Galar Circle so that my end sync move can do a lot of damage. I want to try to keep that Galar Circle as late as possible, so that it lasts as long as possible. I also burned that Cricketune there, which is important. Just need to do as much chip damage as possible. My sun is about to run out. However, it is still up when I use the sync move, so we're gonna get a ton of damage here. Again, this fight took about the same time as the floor 21. It's very difficult. I go ahead and use Flare Blitz so that I can reset Sunny Day. I go ahead and use Galar Singularity to reset Circle. And we keep using Blue Flare here, of course, with N. At this point, I still have 1 mini potion left, which will come in handy. After the enemy uses their second sync move, they get a buff and they basically can one-shot everything. So it's really important to get rid of everybody before the second sync move. And if they are able to use their second sync move, usually the sync move itself doesn't do a lot of damage, But again, they enter a buff state after that second sync move, and they can one-shot everything. So as you see here, I am able to do a bunch of damage. It's important to burn everybody because take advantage of my gear. My gear does do more damage if the enemy is burned. The sync move doesn't kill me, but at this point, they're able to one-shot me, and yes, as you see here, the burn and the trap matter, like ton of damage. And then I only have 2 more hits. You can see Leaf here has Endure. I mentioned earlier that the Endure saved the fight, and as you see here, the Endure saved the fight. And that was, again, 28 with Gem Scout Kabu. Insane. Absolutely insane. I didn't even unlock his EX roll, by the way, and he's at 2 out of 5 copies. So that should just tell you the power of N and Leaf. They can carry as long as you have a tank that does something. Here I showed a grid. Again, the most important thing about her grid was the endurance at the end there. Alright, on to the next fight. This is 29. At this point, I redid my Hugh's sync grid. As you notice here, this is going to be a physical fight, and so I have attack practicum. The reason why I have attack practicum is so that it can raise my defense, even though it doesn't buff. Even though the attack buff doesn't matter, the raising my defense really matters, which you'll see later here. Again, I get the burn off everybody, which is super nice. This fight was very difficult, but getting the burn off was really nice. Again, that's why hostile environment is super important. Again, I make sure I use my moves well. I was able to sneak in a flame charge on the Marble Stiff there, so I was able to apply the rebuff in good manner. Here is when I use attack particulum, or I wait to see if I can flinch this Scraggy first, I guess, or Scrafty, and then I use attack particulum, and I was able to sneak it in as I flinched the Scrafty, which is super powerful. Brick break on the Marble Stiff to see if I can try to flinch it, and at this point I sync with N. Again, I mentioned earlier that even though syncing with Leaf would mean that I get an extra sync move buff, I want to conserve the Sunny Day. I mean, and that sync move with N still did a ton of damage, right? I went ahead and used potion on my Moltres because it's very important that she has a lot of health after a sync move. Again, I mentioned earlier that normally after the sync move, they might use a buff move, like that Muck used X Evasion or something. But I noticed when Arvin uses his sync move, he immediately uses Giga Impact. And so that's why you see here that I use X Mini Potion right after sync move to keep all my guys healthy. You can see Marble Stiff's sync move doesn't do a lot of damage simply because of that defense buff I got from attack particulum. And Giga Impact here, you'll see how much damage this does. A whopping 512 damage. It did nothing. It did nothing to my Moltres just because I lowered their attack and I raised my defense with attack particulum. I think that really matters. Or practicum or whatever it's called. I went ahead and synced with Leaf here so that I can reset the Sunny Day. And from this point onward, the fight honestly was kind of a joke. I mean, my Moltres the potions just kept coming, like the MP refresh with the potions just kept happening. I kept getting good flinches in, if I remember too. So this fight ended up being pretty easy despite being fight 29. And like I said, the most difficult fight for me was I think fight 21 was very difficult. Fight 27 was also very difficult. So just because the floor is higher doesn't mean that the fight's more difficult. If you have kind of the right units, then it makes the fight easy. At this point, I've already knocked out most of the Pokemon, and so I only need to focus my flinching on one Pokemon. That makes it super easy too. And again, like I could have definitely healed my N here if I wanted to, so that she would be full health for this fight. or I not heal my end, heal my Moltres here. But yeah, you can see it like super, actually super easy fight with attack practicum. Anyways, that's it. I think at the end of this I do show some synchronies, but yeah, those are the runs. I think some impressive runs in there, but again, I want to make 2 more videos. One video is going to be talking about how Hugh, the reason why I'm able to get him so strong is because I do have Kabu and Jasmine. When I say Kabu, I mean Academy Gabu and Academy Jasmine. So I'll talk about that later. And yeah, so look forward. Hopefully I can get that 30 floor soon. I just want to upload this run so that people who want to kind of build Hugh can build him before he rotates out. And yeah, again, hopefully I get floor 30 out soon, and hopefully I make the video about how Hugh soon as well. So thanks for watching a beautiful the way you are, and I'll catch you in the next Pokemon Master video.